What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? It's your boy, StephenMotivate, back again with another episode of The Journey to Freedom. Thank you so much for joining me, being with me. I really appreciate you guys. I really want you to know that. And today I want to talk about something that's really big when you're talking about building a firm foundation of financial freedom. And that thing is number 4 on my 5-part framework. Start something. Start something is so important. If you've been around any length of time or seen me anywhere, you've probably seen me talk about having a 9-to-5 job and having a side hustle on the side. Like one of the first things that got me into podcasting even was the fact that I heard about a guy named Anthony O'Neill. Shortly after I heard about him from one of my mentors, Darius Daniels, I actually got a chance to be on his show. And the topic of the show was don't quit your 9-to-5. And the reason he was telling people not to quit his 9-to-5, and I was telling people not to quit I would not be quitting my 9-to-5, was because I was making as much money on the side as I was from my 9-to-5. And the thought was, well, why would you not quit at that point? And my whole reasoning behind this was, well, you don't want to quit because I truly was just getting started. I started, and we'll get into it, but I started this side hustle with Turo, and I was generating 6 figures. And that was as much as what I was making on my job. And so it became this big topic, and the video got like over 100,000 views. And so you may have heard of me from there. And ever since then, I've really been encouraging people to do what I've been doing kind of naturally my entire working life, which is you want to have your job, but you also want to have your side hustle. And ironically enough, a lot of people agree with me and are starting to agree with me more and more around this topic. In fact, there's a study out that says 39% of Americans now have a side hustle of some sort, which means that a lot of people still have their 9-to-5 job and they want to make money on the side. And so I hope that's you, because today's video is all about figuring out how do you generate side hustle income and why is it important. And I want to give you a little bit about my journey, but I first want to give you the foundation of how to do this properly. And I think it'll be a little bit different than what you're expecting. Most people, they do these videos and they go right into telling you, okay, you can make money doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that. What's up, everybody? Most of you watching are not subscribed. And I understand you got a lot of things coming at you, but there's only one problem. I want to help you build your freedom. And in order to do that, I need you to come on this journey with me. So let's change that today. Hit the subscribe button, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Now back to the show. And that's cool and that's helpful. But I first want to start with step number 1, which I think is important, is that you first need to assess your passions and your skills. When you're assessing your passion and your skills, you got to think like, what am I already good at? What would I do if no one paid me, right? And for some of you, I would get behind a camera and I would film everybody all the time because I just like filming. I've had a camera in my hand since I was a kid, that sort of thing. If no one ever paid you and you would still do that, that might be a good indication that that could be a side hustle for you. And everyone knows that, sometimes having a camera business and that sort of thing, it seems like, well, everyone's already doing that. Who needs another camera person? Who needs another filmmaker? It's already too saturated. But you do not want to think about the market dynamics yet. You just want to think about what you're passionate about and what your skills might actually lend themselves to. But that's a good way to assess your skill set and assess what you're passionate about. And that's what you really should think about when you're thinking, hey, what side hustle am I going to get into? Because there's so many different side hustles and so many things you can get into. That's a good way to determine what to do first. Tip number 2, you not only want to assess like your skills and passions and all that sort of thing, but you also want to take inventory of your life and inventory of your time. And so this is probably a tip that you've probably heard from no other side hustle entrepreneur out there. If you've got 40 hours in your normal work week because you still have a regular job, how many more hours are you willing to put into your side hustle? And I say think about this on the front end because if you don't, you'll be scrambling on the back end trying to stay consistent with a thing that you never really thought about and counted up the cost for. The Bible says that we should count up the cost before we get into anything, right? It says the builders, if you're building something, you should count up the cost. Well, you're going to build your side hustle. One of the best things you can do on the front end is to count up the costs. When you count up the costs, you can properly, what you may have heard, set margin in your life for it or give yourself space. You know, like if you're on a piece of paper, you've got the margins on the side. And so you'll often hear in business that you need to like create margin in your life, create margin in your side hustle. Question I always get is, Stephen, how do you do it all? From Turo to working a 9 to 5 to podcasting to having diamondshinecleaner.com. How do you do it all? Well, I will say it's not easy, but it is doable if you do it the right way. And that's why I created the free Side Hustle Starter Kit to help you learn how to get started in whatever business you want to get started in as a side hustle. Most Americans now require a side hustle of some sort just to make ends meet. And I want to help you learn how to do it the right way. So click the link below or visit the website, and I'd love to help you get your side hustle started today. Well, what I'm telling you is you can do that on the front end. You can decide on the very front end, all right, I'm going to work 40 hours a week on my job, and then I'm going to find out. And one of my mentors teaches this. If you watch the Darius Daniels episode, you'll hear him talk about this, setting up an ideal week. And what he means by that is that you've got to determine for the rest of your week, outside of your job, where are you going to dedicate time for your side hustle? So if you're going to be knitting blankets, all right, I'm going to take an hour each week and start with something that you know you can achieve, right? Some people say, oh, I'm going to do 10 hours every day. Well, come on, man. There's only 24 hours in a day and you got a job too. Let's be realistic. If you start with something small, you've heard me talk about this before. If you start with something small and achievable, you give yourself a higher likelihood that you're going to stick with it. And that's what you need is stick with itness. You got to stick with this thing for the long term. If you create that margin in your life, in your space, and say, all right, I'm going to do an hour a week and I'm going to knit blankets. I'm going to knit blankets and I'm going to take those blankets, I'm going to put them on Etsy, and then I'm going to sell those blankets on Etsy, and I'm going to customize those blankets with people's names. Oh, so every time there's a graduate and they're looking for gifts online, they might look for a customized name knitted blanket, and that could be a sale for you. But if you've not created margin in your life, if you haven't created the space, that hour a week where the wife knows, the husband knows, the kids know, the mom knows, the friends knows, everyone knows that, nope, they're working on their side hustle at that time. That is going to be so impactful for your future and for you to do what you should always do when you're building anything, including a side hustle, which is laying a foundation. I just had another guest on recently, Calvin Cannon Jr., and he said this, and it really stuck with me. Every business deserves a system, and a system really establishes the foundation of your business. If you don't have a system, then you're going to compromise your business long term. And what did he mean by system? He said a system is anything that you put in place that will save yourself time, money, energy, and stress. I thought that was masterful. Save yourself time, money, energy, and stress because you have a system in place. So what I'm saying is if you don't create that margin in your life on the front end, you don't even have to know exactly what you want to do. All I'm saying is you take an hour out of each week and decide that this is going to be my time where I'm going to dedicate myself to my side hustle, whatever it may be. And if you do that on the front end, if you set that system up on the front end, you're going to save yourself time, money, energy, and stress. All right? Tip number 3, when you're dealing with business, you're typically going to fall into 2 different categories. You're either going to provide a product or a service, typically. There's a lot of ways you can engage in business, but broadly, most businesses fall into two categories. They're either providing a product or a service. And the difference between a product is you're either giving something physical or digital that is usually a transaction, right? It's usually a one time thing. And the only difference is the customer service on the back end. So if I sell you my phone case, well, I'm going to sell you that. It's just a transaction. I'm done. I've supplied you what you needed. The only difference is I can provide you customer service on the back end with my product-based business, right? Or if I show you digitally how to design phone cases, then I've provided you a product in a sense, but it's almost like a service, right? So you kind of combine them both together. We'll get into that in a second. The other one is a service. Truly, a service is something that you're serving your customer base with something that they otherwise couldn't get done without you serving them. So, for instance, a cleaning business is typically a service, right? I'm going to come in and clean your windows. That's my service for you. And so I'm a service-based business. And so you can become a side hustle. In fact, I think window cleaning is one of the biggest, one of the biggest businesses that you can start up easily, right? And that is a service-based business. Have you ever felt like you were just stuck, just like you weren't completely free, kind of like in a cage and you can't do exactly what you want to do or really accomplish the dreams you want to accomplish? Well, I felt that way too, until I learned how to create freedom for myself. And the best part about it, I didn't have to quit my 9-to-5 job. I didn't have to leave my family. I didn't have to forsake all of my friends. I just made simple steps to start really finding out, how can I build freedom for myself? How can I promote myself? How can I make decisions for myself and for my future that I can be proud of? And I want to help you do that. This Fuel Your Freedom Challenge is all about helping you get the tools so you can put the gas behind your dreams, put the pedal behind your hopes and behind your goals. I want to help you do that. I'm excited that you're here. Click the link. Let's get signed up, and I'll see you on the other side. Fuel your freedom. Get ready. It's happening soon. So when you're thinking about your side hustle, you typically want to think about these two areas. Am I thinking about I want to do a product, or do I want to provide a service? Or can I somehow mix them together? So what you hear a lot of people doing, especially in the past couple years since the pandemic, a lot of people are providing like a mix of a product and service. So for instance, going on YouTube, right? Well, this is now one of my side hustles, to be a YouTuber and to provide content on YouTube. Well, I'm, in a sense, giving you a product in the fact that you could go and view this like you could go and view a TV show. It's almost like a product. It's like a transaction or like a movie, but also there could be things that I provide to you that turn into a service. When you're thinking about a side hustle, these are foundational things. Do I want to provide a product? Do I want to provide a service, or do I want to somehow mix them together? And if you're thinking about doing YouTube, so one of the things that YouTube allows you to do is essentially, you could also look at it as a service, right? I'm going to continually come and provide you the motivation, the inspiration, the thoughts that you need to build or fuel your freedom, right? And so I do that enough where I'm essentially giving it to you for free. All you have to do is get on YouTube's platform to do that. Well, YouTube will actually run ads on my platform, and I will be paid for that, for doing that service, for continuing to upload videos, that sort of thing. So there are now industries, there are now spaces in business where you get to basically do both. But in general, that's how you want to segment what you want to do. Do you want to provide a product, or do you want to provide a service? I have found in my own experience that my product-based business, if you haven't heard of it, diamondshinecleaner.com. that product-based business has done 10 to 20 times more for me in revenue than any service business that I've provided. You know about some of my service businesses where I provide cars for people to share on Turo. You've seen those videos on the channel as well. That's a service, but my product-based business has provide exponentially more for me in revenue than what my service business has provided. Right. So I hope that helps you understand kind of where you might want to place your energy. Product-based businesses, again, have the ability for you to just sell a thing over and over, market it. The only difficult thing is you got to fulfill it. You got to ship it. But with like a cleaning service, you got to fulfill it every time. Right. But if I give you a product, if I give you the actual cleaner, I fulfilled it one time, you're going to use it over and over, and you're probably going to purchase it again and again and again. Does that make sense? So one is more tied to my time and energy. One is more tied to my thoughts, my intellectual capital, my ability to create something one time and sell it over and over and over. So I tend to think that product-based businesses is where you should spend more time. But again, there's a ton of people who've been successful in both. And in this environment, you can kind of mix both and create sort of a hybrid of product and service. Okay, tip number 4 is you've got to figure out who your market is. Who are you marketing to? Markets are typically based on what you can reach, who you can reach. Now, the good thing for you and me is that we're now in 2025 and you're able to basically reach around the world because of globalization, because UPS will ship almost everywhere, DHL, FedEx. So you can, the internet, digital services, the web, the World Wide Web can reach all over the world. And so you aren't as limited as you once were in who you can market to. And so I've said this to you guys before, a business exists once it has customers. You're not a business just because you've got a piece of paper and you paid a lawyer and you've got your LLC and you've got your trademark and you've got this and got that. That's all cool and good. And that is, wise to do. It's nice. But you're not really a business until you have customers. When you have customers is when you have a business. And so what you want to think about in your side hustle is, where can I get customers? Where do I want to market? What is my market that I want to focus on? And so you hear this term a lot, target market. And that term can be a locality, but it can also start to talk about a specific customer profile. Who is my target market? Who is my target person? And so, for instance, if you know that you are going to use your product or service to speak to business owners who want to get their message out, then you need to figure out how to market to them because they are your target market. Hey, do you like what you're hearing? If so, let's not stop here. Click the link below and join my email list so I can come and provide you valuable information about your mindset, about the market, about everything you need to build your freedom. Click the link. Let's start today. And so what do business owners listen to? What do business owners watch? What do business owners read? Where do business owners typically find themselves? Because you may have a solution for business owners. And so you have to market to the folks that you have a solution for. Does that make sense? And so you want to spend a lot of time after you've determined what do you want to do, who do you want to do it for is the next question. Does that make sense? I want to be a cleaning service. Well, who do you want to clean for? Do you want to clean for someone who's really disgusting and is doesn't really care about cleaning that much? And so every time you go in there, you got to remove rats, roaches, paint, broken glass. Or do you want to clean for a huge corporation that basically barely comes into the office and barely uses the trash can? And, you have to think about who do you want to serve with your side hustle. And that's what number 4 is all about, figuring out who you want to market to and then you need to spend time and energy actually working to make sure they become aware that you may have a solution to their problem. Number 5, my next tip for you, and I know we're going long, we got to wrap up, but my next tip for you is that you've got to start. You've got to start. You can't think and research and blah, blah, blah all day. You've got to get to the grind and begin to actually offer your product or service or your product service package mix to people. And once you do that, you'll start to get real feedback, real customers, and you'll get all the learnings that you can't get in a video. There are multiple ways to learn how to do business. There are multiple ways to learn how to do a side hustle. And all I can tell you is you got to get started. So we'll end with this, and I'll tell you my story. So we started YouTube seriously in April of 2024. Prior to that, we had begun even in maybe the late fall of 2022. Even prior to that, maybe in May, June of 2020. And even prior to that, and I go all the way back to 2015 with Instagram and when IGTV was a thing. Now it's Instagram Reels. I have been actually speaking on camera for a long, long time, but I wasn't really doing YouTube. I would start and stop, not really put up videos, kind of do it, kind of not. And it was very difficult for me to stay consistent. And one reason it was difficult because I never counted up the cost. I thought, oh, I just need a camera. Oh, it's going to be easy. Oh, this is da, da, da. And the problem with that is when we say things are easy, we actually psych ourselves out of all the hard work that's actually needed to keep going. So I kept telling myself it was easy, and because it was so easy, I never did it, right? But if I would have truly said, like when you're building a house, this is hard. I should think about the foundation I want to set. I should think about the time I want to commit. I should think about how many people around me it's going to affect. Then I probably would have kept going further. But anyway, got past all that. And finally, in April 2024, I got serious. And so ever since then, I got so serious that I got help. And sometimes getting serious means getting help. And so I hired some folks, Mackenzie, right out of college. Mackenzie's still with me to this day. And we've been working every week, uploading videos, doing interviews, trying to get better, trying to understand YouTube, trying to understand how to package things, what guests to have, what questions to ask, who we need to talk to, who we need to have on, so we can actually serve people with this side hustle. And one of the biggest things we have been able to do that I'm super proud of, because I got help, I've been able this year, more than any other year, over the past decade, I said 2015, right? Over the past decade, I haven't been able to be consistent, but because I got help and I was willing to invest to get that help, I've been able to do, if nothing else, be consistent with putting up videos. That's it, folks. That's what I wanted to talk to you about today, how to start your side hustle. And as you see, there are several opportunities for you to join up and connect with me. One way I was able to do this and build my side hustle was to get help. So if I can be of any help to you, please stay connected to me. Let me know. And until next time, I only ask you to do one thing, and that's to stay motivated. It's your boy, StephenMotivate. Peace.